Okay, extremely brief and tangentially related story time. Let's go. The year is 2019 and just before summer break, I was visiting my soon-to-be college, being introduced to the place, the curriculum, staff, etc. You get the gist of it. Now, in preparation for our long and tedious journey through college, one of the lecturers gave us an assignment to complete over summer. Alright, yo lot, listen up and stuff, okay? I got this notebook and stuff, and I want you to consume and analyse your favourite pieces of media, detailing your findings in this here notebook and stuff. You got that? Good. Now shoot! So I did just that, writing about movies I had seen in this very notebook, like Scarface, Alien, as well as designing, whatever the hell this is. I don't know. But I digress. More importantly, one of the films I wrote about was none other than Paul Blart Mall Cop, if you can believe it. As a matter of fact, a defense of the bloody film. Underrated films that I like and why. You know, let's have a read, shall we? The plot is definitely nothing to write home about, so I can understand why the film gets a lot of backlash for it. Obviously comedy is subjective, but in my opinion this film pulls it off particularly well and gets much more hate than I feel it deserves. There's not really much more than that. I had to skip past the opening paragraph which detailed the bizarre phenomenon of people having opinions on things. Bad writing aside, did 2019 Shane have a point? Was there a hint of truth in that short cavalcade of bull, or was he just a stupid dunderhead? Well, in all honesty, both. But in all seriousness, Paul Blart Mall Cop is a genuinely alright film in my books. I'm not saying it's an avant-garde masterpiece or anything, hell, far from it. However, there is a lot of elements at play here which are executed successfully. Say for instance the charming slapstick comedy, the cool looking parkour choreography, and of course the mall setting which is used to great effect. All of which we'll dive into shortly. And hey, I know I'm not the most intellectual or eloquently spoken individual out there, so take it from a Pulitzer Prize winning critic, Roger Ebert. He liked it, so I must be correct. See? Only the most based among us can appreciate the brilliance of Paul Blart.
I've been very honest with my viewers, like, I like Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Oh god, I just bloody agreed with the quartering. Oh, never mind guys, I'm completely full of it, don't listen to anything I have to say. Anyways, without further ado, let's explore the vast Paul Blart mythos and lore. When it comes to the plot of the movie, I mean, most of it you can gather just from the name alone. The film follows Paul Blart, played by Kevin James, a single parent living with his mother and daughter training to be a police officer. Kevin James is a very hit or miss actor and comic. I mean, he's either pretty funny or downright unwatchable, depending on the movie in question. Unfortunately, due to his medical condition, hypoglycemia, Paul can't quite make the cut into becoming a full-fledged boy in blue. Due to this, he does the next best thing, patrolling the aisles of West County Pavilion Mall as a security officer. During a seemingly routine day at work, a new stall opens up and it's here where we meet Amy, a hot chick who is a hot chick. So naturally, Paul, being the comic relief protagonist, instantly falls in love, trying desperately to win her favour. Blart himself is a pretty affable and charming guy, all things considered, although he is notoriously overzealous in his pursuit of mall security, taking his job way more seriously than he arguably should, which we see consistently throughout the opening of the movie especially. In one scene he tries to ID an old man for speeding on a scooter, and in another he talks about strategies to increase mall safety with his superiors, much to their chagrin. It's gone to the point where most of the people working at the mall know him by name, being intimately familiar with both Blart as a person and his work as a mall cop. Although I suppose that's more of a compliment than anything. Having a reputation for being wholesome and taking your job seriously ain't exactly a negative, no matter what industry you're working in. Anyways, he manages to screw up his chance of getting in with Amy by acting like an ass while drunk. If that weren't bad enough, before he can even make it up to her, the following day the mall gets taken over by a bunch of parkour experts with guns. A group spearheaded by Vec, a criminal mastermind who worked in mall security alongside Paul only a few days prior, making this one of the most tragic betrayals in history, with Brutus betraying Julius Caesar being a close second. Vec plans to steal the credit card numbers of all the major stores in the mall, becoming mega rich and moving to the Cayman Islands with all the stolen cheddar. So it's up to Blart to save Amy, the mall itself, and of course put a stop to Vec's sinister machinations. That's a setup for Paul Blart Mall Cop, the most comedy film plot amongst comedy film plots. Fat and or weird looking guy overcoming adversity to save the day and win over the girl is hardly an original premise. To be honest, the only reason Paul Blart's story works is because of, well, Paul Blart. He's the protagonist of the movie, the only bloke featured on the posters and advertisements, plus the film is literally named after him, so it's no surprise that he's the focus. But however, that is precisely the problem. 99% of the running time is centered around Blart, leaving almost no room for the other characters. Even in scenes without Paul directly in them, he's usually part of the conversation. The end result is a damn near nameless cast, whom you'll forget about 2 minutes after watching. Amy is the primary love interest, and that's about it. Outside of being the pinnacle of desire for Blart, she has nothing to do. The same can be said for Vec. Sure, he has his own motivations for taking over the mall, but as far as personality goes, he's about as rote as they come. Myself and pretty much everyone else who's seen this movie could go on and on about Paul Blart, whether it's praise or criticism. Either way, I guarantee no one could tell you a single thing about Vec, because there really isn't much to tell. The best part about the character is his relationship and rivalry with Paul. Who else? I don't know, I mean Paul Blart's daughter is pretty likeable. I mean, definitely someone you'd want to root for, but I'm sure you've surmised the commonality between these characters by now. By now, nice voice break there. On the other hand, this complete and total focus, as you can imagine, works bloody wonders for Blart. Love him or hate him, there's no denying the man is freaking iconic. Arguably Kevin James' most famous role, like, even people who haven't watched the movie recognise Paul, and can you really blame them? I'm not sure why they decided to have Kevin don a mustache, but it's definitely a striking look on an otherwise ordinary looking dude. Pair that with a segue and boom, you've got yourself an icon. A character that'll make just about anyone double take and remember past viewing the film. And it's not just appearance wise either. As I mentioned earlier, Paul Blart is generally a pretty, friendly and affable guy, although in the same breath quite the awkward goofball. Sure, yeah, maybe he takes his job more seriously than he should. However, it's to the benefit of everyone around him, hence why he's mostly well liked throughout them all. That's the perception both the characters in the movie and the audience will gather from seeing him on screen, and it just goes to show Blart's emanating strength of character, as pretentious as that sounds. There's no trickery at play here, what you see is what you get, and what you get is, in my opinion, a pretty funny, charming and endearing character. A guy you can't help but smile at, even during the more cringy scenes, and there's quite a few of those, so we'll get there. Whenever you find genuine arguments against this movie, a lot of them say generally the same thing. It's cringy, it's unfunny, it's listless, and of course a lot of that comes down to Paul Blart himself being the de facto focus of the movie, like I talked about prior. However, I couldn't disagree more. In my opinion, he's a pretty compelling character, all things considered, that has a lot going for him beyond the surface level goofiness. For starters, Paul is quite the athlete despite his size, an aspect of his character that is established in the opening scene where we see him running, climbing and doing front flips like it ain't no thing, only failing at the last minute due to his medical condition. And while he does ride the Segway a great deal throughout the mall, there's still a great deal of physicality when the mall inevitably gets taken over. On top of that, to say Paul Blart is a hard worker would be an understatement. He's the only one who actually gives a damn about his job and the safety of the general public, whilst all his co-workers just, slack off in the office. Not to mention his numerous attempts at becoming a real police officer. What makes it better is that he's not just doing it for his own personal gratification, he's doing it to provide for his daughter and mother, being the sole breadwinner of the family in a relatively middling paying job. There's no two ways about it, man, that's just bloody admirable, no matter how you look at it. Finally, he's not a moron, okay? Look, granted Paul can be a silly goof sometimes. I mean, we see clear evidence of his tomfoolery during the party scene where he gets so wasted he falls out the bloody window. But we see time and time again that there's a clever mind at play here. Most notoriously during the various scenes where he outsmarts the criminals. Also, there is one character-defining scene for Blart that really cements this point, while also demonstrating his virtuous nature and moral code. Alright, so hear me out, okay? When Paul finally discovers that the mall's been taken over, the dude doesn't stick around. As soon as he's able to, he gets in contact with the authorities and heads for safety. This movie could have been over way quicker if Paul didn't notice Amy's car still parked outside. That's the only reason why this mofo heads back in, not willing to leave someone he cares about in harm's way. So let's recap real quick. What we have here is a kind, caring and funny guy who's willing to protect others even at the cost of his own safety. Not to mention a hard worker who provides for his family and actively tries to improve his lot in life. Wow. Wow, what an unbelievably stereotypical toxic role model. Like, what's next? Are they gonna make him kiss babies and rescue kittens in his spare time? Like, unbelievable. Snark aside, I will concede that there is one major problem with Blart's character. A hugely distasteful part of the movie which has a massive effect on Paul's actions and circumstances. If you hadn't guessed already, it's his hypoglycemia. A real-life medical condition that usually occurs in diabetics, but in rare circumstances can afflict non-diabetic people. Basically, it's when your blood sugar levels drop abnormally low, causing nausea, seizures, and in severe instances even death, thus requiring a quick sugar fix to negate the problem. Sounds pretty serious, right? Well, in Paul Blart Mall Cop, it's pretty much played for laughs. I've got nothing against joking about a serious medical condition, but the movie presents it in such a cartoonishly simplistic fashion that you could hardly be blamed for thinking it's not that serious of a health problem. It's especially jarring in the scene where Blart talks to Vec over the mall's speakers, only to end up nearly passing out eating a dirty lollipop in a last-ditch effort to recover. An article on diatribe.org discussing portrayals of diabetics in media summed up perfectly. He does a small amount of sugar, the aforementioned lollipop, but his immediate recovery is not realistic. NHS Inform estimates that it takes around 15 minutes to recover from hypoglycemia that is less severe. Blart's hypoglycemia is presented as much more drastic, and his recovery occurs within a few seconds after consuming sugar. This undermines the true nature of hypoglycemia and might convey the impression that it really is not a big deal. Unquote. At the very least, are the distasteful jokes actually funny? Not really. I mean, they're not the most cringeworthy parts of the movie, but they're hardly the funniest. Personally, those scenes didn't bother me much, but I'm sure if I was diabetic, it would be a different story. Going back to the premise, if you remember I said it was hardly original, which is true, but at the same time, it's not trying to be. Far from it, actually. A large part of the humour comes from inserting Kevin James into the role of an action movie star, and having him parody and riff off of typical tropes associated with the action genre. For instance, the one-man army trope, where it's one dude taking on a whole heap of bad guys single-handedly. Only instead of a highly trained assassin or government agent, it's, well, Kevin James. Although the most overt and obvious parody is clearly Die Hard. They both take place in one location during the holiday season, but it goes beyond just the premise. There's a lot of similarities scene to scene too. Remember the infamous claustrophobia-inducing vent scene in Die Hard? Well, you bet your arse Paul Blart has that too. Only Paul straight up breaks the bloody thing, falling onto the bad guys and knocking them out in what I can only describe as the most bizarre instance of unintentional badassery, if that even makes any sense. Just like John McClane, Paul Blart manages to completely miss the criminal takeover in a pretty cool and funny fashion, might I add. Halfway through the movie, Paul helps the arcade owner close up shop and ends up rocking out to Detroit Rock City. We get this neat little diegetic to non-diegetic transition of Paul Blart playing Rock Band, which then goes on to show a compilation of the criminals messing shit up whilst doing some badass parkour, of course. Therein lies another point of praise for this film. The parkour and stunt choreography is bloody awesome in my opinion, but having it all performed in the mall makes it all the more cooler, presenting location unique challenges for the stunt workers to overcome.
He does a flump flip up the second level, and I grind a rail underneath him, which actually took a little bit of doing. There was no room for me to get speed. It was like a half a crank. The handrail was aluminum. There was a pillar right at the bottom of the rail. There was no out if I crashed. And the thing is being the actor, I can't get hurt. And it was like every which way to get hurt. And it worked out, we did it twice, no flaws, and I was stoked because I was really nervous.
It's also quite the sharp contrast to Paul just, cruising by on his Segway. Yeah, this movie is very physical to say the least. Not only with the action scenes and stunt work, but also with the slapstick comedy. Which I think is the largest factor as to why this film is freaking hilarious. I don't know, man. I've never done this in a video before, trying to sell people on something that I think is funny and they might not think it's funny, but like there's just so many charming gags and bits that make me laugh. Blart falls down constantly in this movie, which is a given, but the funniest example of this is when Paul tries to rescue the hostages and almost succeeds, only for all of them to fall through the roof as Vec walks in. You think it's all over, but then Then like just Paul just plateaus through the roof like a bloody Looney Tunes anvil. It could be years since I last watched the movie. I'll still remember the scene where Paul slides to cover but not quite making it, so he has to scooch his ass over. It's such a dumb moment that I just love it. Though if I had to name my favourite bit, it would be the scene where after Paul takes a dive into the ball pit with one of the criminals, shortly after he rides up on his Segway looking like someone just opened the bloody Necronomicon, and we get this shot of Paul just ominously in the background, like behind the dude, like nothing personnel, kid. I don't know, maybe I just have a crap sense of humour, but Paul Blart Mall Cop is a damn funny films at times. I don't know what to say. Now, we know for the past couple minutes I've pretty much went on a non-stop glaze fest, but admittedly there are some major problems with this movie. Issues that hold it back from reaching its true peak potential, at least from my perspective. I already talked in detail about Paul's hyperglycemia and how it's used unsuccessfully in jest, but there are other plot points and gags which, you know, simply aren't funny. Not every joke is going to be a slam dunk, but at times this film really itches close to utter cringe territory. For instance, at the start of the movie it's revealed that Paul Blart's ex-wife only married him to get immigrated into the country, divorcing him soon after, which is, you know, hilarious, right? I mean, it's supposed to be funny, I guess. I mean, because they cut to a goofy picture of the couple with, like, some music in the background, and, you know, I don't know. Oh no, your guess is as good as mine. Right after the scene, Blart heads to work on his Segway, accidentally running over a dog in the process. Get it? Animal getting hurt and stuff, lol. Not sure what the hell they were thinking with this bit. There's also this running gag with Paul Blart getting phone calls from the stereotypical Indian guy. I mean, he has the music, decor, accent and everything. For context, Blart is borrowing a phone from one of the other mall workers, which actually belongs to his daughter. So he keeps getting dialed up by her boyfriend. I wasn't offended by this running gag or anything, but it just wasn't that funny. Simple as that. When it comes to how this film's shot, it's really not that great either. Aside from Paul Blart rising from the bull pit, which still remains one of the best scenes in cinema history, I couldn't show you a single iconic shot from this movie. The cinematography is just kind of there. Most of the time it's completely fine, but there are moments where it's actually pretty jarring. One scene that instantly comes to mind is the ending. So, Paul Blart has just saved the day. He's earned his status as a badass and also the recognition and admiration from Amy. Blart strides up to her with this like Giga Chan walk, and we get this reverse shot of Amy and Paul looking at each other as he approaches. But then it just awkwardly cuts to Paul walking off into nowhere as Amy scurries towards him off screen. What? I guess Paul wasn't walking towards her? Well then where the hell was he going? Is this another symptom of hyperglycemia I don't know about? Whatever. Bah, whatever. I suppose it's just a nitpick, but still, it looks really bad. Oh yeah, did I mention Paul Blart is a Happy Madison Productions movie? As if things couldn't get any worse for this film. If you don't know, Happy Madison is a production company owned by Adam Sandler, which is pretty infamous for plopping out some of the most rank, garbage tier films in existence. With said films having dodeca-sized, unjustifiably high budgets. Because, well, they make money. It's not really a scam per se, but it's definitely a cheap, shystery money-making scheme for Adam Sandler and his cronies. As you just know, most of the budget for these films goes directly into their pockets, hence why Adam actually appears in 90% of them. They're kind of like Illumination in that their films, you know, suck ass, but the general public likes them and they do make hella money, so they can pretty much do what they want and investors will just give them stacks after stacks of cheddar. 99% of the time I can't stand them. I mean, I still haven't gotten over my Zookeeper trauma. But I don't know, man. Paul Blart Mall Cop is a special case. It's crude, lowbrow humour just like the rest of them, but I genuinely feel that for the most part it's executed really well. There's nothing wrong with being lowbrow on a surface level. Hell, call me stupid, but that kind of humour will always be funnier than most of Wes Anderson's catalogue. Please don't cancel me, please. But like almost every film endeavour, there's a right and wrong way of doing it. And I feel that Paul Blart, again, for the most part, gets it right. Despite the many adversities and obstacles the movie faces, much like Blart himself, it still manages to be an overall success. Anyways, that about wraps up my thoughts on the avant-garde peak of cinema that is Paul Blart Mall Cop. Like if you liked, Dislike if you disliked, subscribe for more quality content, and I'll see you guys next time.
Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried. Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. Have some more chicken. Have some more pie. It doesn't matter if it's boiled or fried.